How do you find freedom? What does it mean to you? How do you share your freedom with others? My guests have found their freedom through serving others to make the world a better place. We're changing the world for our communities and preparing for those who are coming behind us. Come, join us on Finding and Sharing Freedom with me, your host, Sumayya Fire.
So this is not the time in 2022 for us to get tired. So I say rest for a moment, but know that we have a long struggle ahead of us.
I reclaimed my time in the morning, which is a really important time of day for me. And the other learning from this experience, because when you get still, that's when you can really go in and connect with your God, connect with the truth of who you are. And you get some clarity, and you get some awareness. So I had several revelations that showed up for me. And one of them, interestingly, was a core wound. That belief system was, you're not supposed to be here. So this isn't a time for us to be tired. It is a time, though, for us to really give ourselves permission to value ourselves, to value our existence, to know that I belong.
This is joy. I'm feeling pure joy listening. Your part-time job is taking care of yourself. And as Black women in America, that's where we are, because we're saving ourselves and saving each other. I use rest and reparations for me go hand in hand. I'm resting. That is my reparations, that I'm going to take my time, take a break, travel, but support people, in places that we go.
This pandemic has created situations, opportunities, a blessing, a graceful period for us to slow down. One of the rituals that I use as much as possible is I'm now gardening. And there is a magic in putting your fingers in the dirt, in the soil, and connecting with Mother Earth. There are different new avenues possibly for many of us to take to learn how to rest. But that rest may not be laying in the bed rest. It may be playing in the dirt rest. It may be not talking. It may be disconnecting from a computer for a whole day. It may be any number of things, because we're each so ultrally intelligent that we don't have to go by the same plan. When we look deep, deep, deep within our spirits, within our souls, and you're satisfied with that, and you get to be in love with you, you have this elevated self-esteem, this elevated self-worth, this magnificent self-acceptance. It makes you the wealthiest person alive. And this competition, or trying to fit in the same mold as other MOLD, fit in the same mold as everyone else, is artificial. It's artificial stimulation. It's artificial identification. And my reparations would be that we forget and we destroy those old definitions of you're not good enough because, and you won't match up because, and we start to identify and create our own language of acceptance, and we honor our royal heritage that we have, that our energy would be so much better used if we did rest, if we went walking, if we went to the garden, if we just disconnected from this negative that's just all over everywhere. I do a radio program every Tuesday night called Life, Love, and Wellness. It's on Blog Talk Radio. And the reason why is to get ourselves out of these stuck mindsets that we're in.
Is because we now know without a shadow of a doubt that life itself, from the very beginning of time, was started in Africa. But because this is the new millennium, it is the age of the woman. The question that I'm raising for myself, and I'm raising for women of African ancestors, and those who might want to follow us, is what kind of woman do you want to bring forth for this new millennium?
Like, step up, let's step forward.
You know, so those people, and that is those invaders, took the 2,300 years, never did what Jesus asked us to do, changed his color, did, everything else, brought forth all of these, what do you call them? Priests, and then enslaved us with all of our stuff. So now he's come to us as women of African ancestors, still with the same question of, will you bring love, justice, peace, righteousness, all of those 142 affirmations of my art into the world. So we really want to spend those 2.5 days talking about African spirituality and how we can use our spirituality and fight off all of these things that we're dealing with right now in this 21st century, because they're coming at us with everything. We've then got to find a way that we use our spirituality to combat this evilness.
Yes. Yeah.
That's coming toward us.
I sense there's a shift, because organically, even for me to be in this space, for me as an immigrant, African immigrant woman, and the way it has really transformed the way I'm doing the work with my sisters whose ancestors were forced here by the history of the transatlantic slavery. I'm seeing that one of the things for me, what reparations mean, is that we create spaces, because they won't create those spaces for us. We create the spaces and we ask for the resources to be able to repair our own sisterhood, because colonization really tore that apart. And so for me, reparations is really personally trying to educate and planting the seeds of we're one. And we need to go and repair that. And no one is going to do that for us, because together, when we're not divided, nobody's going to conquer us. I've invited a few sisters to come with me to the continent on a safari, because I really want us to realize what colonization has done for us. And I think it's been benefiting the clear people, the colonizers. And so for me, that is how, in addition to everything that's been said, that's how I'm looking at this idea of reparations.
I say that to say that what God has laid on my heart to share with you ever so briefly is really, when we think about reparations, I think about what we owe ourselves. We spend a lot of time talking about reparations in the context of what someone else owes us, but what I hear God saying is to be more intentional and consider more carefully what we owe ourselves. As women of color, we so oftentimes get stuck in places and spaces, whether it's jobs or relationships or whatever it is, whereas I often say we stay too long. We stay too long for whatever the reasons, and we spend so much time in our hearts and in our thoughts considering what other people are thinking about us. That looks like. So when I think about reparations, I think about really getting to a place in our lives where we are honest with ourselves about what we want, what's important to us, what we don't want. I say to women all the time when I'm doing training and education across the country, no is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. I cannot, will not, don't want to, whatever it is. We need to be able to be okay with that. And I think we have to rest from what other people think. We have to rest from worrying about what the world thinks. We have to rest from worrying about what the church thinks. We have to rest from worrying about how we show up as leaders, however we show up. Can we get past that part of it? Can we get past, I think there's something to be said when God brings you to a place where you don't care what people think. That is everything. How profoundly can God use us when we don't care what anybody else thinks? And God said, that's what I meant when I told you I would redeem the time. I would pick you up and put you in places and spaces. You would skip past some of the other things that other people had to do. I would put you there where I wanted you. That's how God redeems time. But he doesn't do that for us or with us until we're willing to let go of all the things that hold us back, that anchor us in spaces and places where God perhaps doesn't dwell any longer, but we don't have enough courage to move. And so reparations to me means I get to pay myself back. I get to take care of myself in this season in ways in which I didn't know to do it in the past because I was too busy trying to be what I thought I needed to be for other people. And pay yourself back, take care of you, find ways. And I know that whole self-care mantra is a big thing right now. People are constantly talking about that. But self-care goes beyond the nails and the massage and the walk and the run. Self-care has to do with the way in which you treat yourself. How do you show up in the world? In terms of how you take care of you. And I talk to me nice. When I make a mistake, I don't say things like, oh, you're so stupid. What'd you do that for? I said, oh, Mama, you're doing the best you can. You're doing a wonderful job.
My people, Ise Oluwa is a Nigerian chant that says God's work shall never be destroyed. And reparations for me is partly about my reaching back through the generations to say, we got this, you can rest now. And yet there's this part of me that feels like I'm still in the fields and I'm on the lookout for the person who's coming to take me back to the plantation. I'm still running. That's in our nervous system. That's why we need the rest. Our nervous system has not healed from slavery. That's what's got to be healed. That's why we need to rest. This is not just mind, it's about the body. But we begin to reimagine affirmations that begin with love. We were created in love. What would it be like if, when we greeted each other, because we were created in love, we already had the relationship where we could say, I love you. I love you. I love you.
No, I wasn't even expecting this level of pouring into that I got today, but so much of what was said resonated on so many levels, and I see that how we function out of just this place of this place of deficit and toxic. It's almost toxic how we praise each other in this work. There's a book, All Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. And I feel like that's the MO of how we see ourselves doing some of the ways that I hear some of the women I work with talk. And so this conversation was just so powerful for me. And even being aware, like we can intellectually know things and still participate in harmful behavior. I just really appreciate this space. I wasn't even expecting any of this. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you for joining us on Finding and Sharing Freedom. If you would like to share your freedom journey, contact me at sharefreedominfo333@gmail.com. I would love to share your journey.